Let me tell you something that absolutely floored me this week. Out of all the people who could have spoken up about the Cleveland Browns quarterback situation, guess who threw his voice into the fire? None other than Travis Kelce. Yeah, that, Travis Kelce, the future Hall of Famer, the face of the Kansas City Chiefs dynasty, and, oh, by the way, a man who just got engaged to Taylor Swift, which basically makes him half football legend, half global celebrity at this point. You'd think his plate was already overflowing. He's in the middle of chasing yet another Super Bowl, he's planning a wedding that the entire world is going to have eyes on, and on top of that, he co-hosts one of the biggest podcasts in sports with his brother Jason. The guy doesn't even have time to breathe. And yet, despite all of that, Travis Kelce still found a way to fire off a take that shook me to my core, because it wasn't about the Chiefs, it wasn't about his career, it was about my Cleveland Browns. And what did he say? Oh, he didn't tiptoe around it. He went straight for the heart of the debate. On the latest episode of New Heights, Kelce made his plea loud and clear. He said, "Give the people what they want. Start Shedeur Sanders." That's right. He's calling for Kevin Stefanski to put Shedeur Sanders, not Joe Flacco, not Dillon Gabriel, but Shedeur, front and center as the starting quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. And the way Kelce said it, it wasn't just a throwaway line. No, this was conviction. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, "Browns fans deserve the show. They deserve the electricity. They deserve to see Shedeur not just play but succeed." Because right now, the world isn't just watching him, they're rooting for him. And Kelce knows it. He spelled it out perfectly. Shedeur is the kind of player who puts eyes on the screen, who gets people talking, who makes fans who weren't even planning on showing up suddenly buy a ticket just to see the story unfold. And you know what? He's not wrong. Everywhere Shedeur has gone, he's been a lightning rod for attention. At Colorado, at the draft, now in Cleveland, it doesn't matter. He's got the spotlight. And that's not something you can coach. That's not something you can buy. That's something rare. And Travis Kelce, who, let's not forget, grew up in Cleveland, he feels that pulse of the city. He knows what excites Browns fans, and he knows Shedeur brings something different to the table. Now here's the twist. The Browns. They've already made their call. They're rolling with the veteran Joe Flacco as the starter. Dillon Gabriel is backing him up. And Shedeur. Right now, he's buried at third on the depth chart. So yeah, in terms of wins and losses, in terms of who Stefanski trusts to manage the offense, the Browns are playing it safe. But let me ask you, when was the last time playing it safe ever gave Browns fans hope? When was the last time playing it safe put Cleveland at the center of the NFL conversation? That's what makes Kelce's words sting in the best possible way. Because this wasn't just a superstar talking for content. This was a guy who knows exactly what it means to root for Cleveland, practically begging this team to throw caution to the wind and give the world a show. And, yeah, maybe Travis doesn't actually have influence here. He's a Chief, not a Brown. He can't make Stefanski do anything. But I'll tell you what he does have. He's got the voice of a guy who understands what's at stake when you're not just trying to win, but trying to capture hearts. And in that sense, he might be right on the money. The quarterback situation in Cleveland right now, it feels like it's sitting on a ticking time bomb. And the crazy part is, at any moment, this entire thing could flip upside down. We've been talking all off-season about depth, about who's going to sit behind Joe Flacco, and about whether the Browns are really willing to ride with 4 quarterbacks. But here's where things get spicy, because Dillon Gabriel's name keeps floating around in trade talks. And trust me, that's not just smoke. Between now and the trade deadline, it wouldn't shock me at all if Cleveland pulled the trigger. You've got teams like Dallas, Detroit, even the Raiders, who suddenly find themselves desperate for quarterback depth after injuries. Gabriel's name has been coming up, and that is not by accident. Now here's the twist. If Gabriel gets moved, do you know who suddenly gets the keys to the QB2 role? Shedeur Sanders. And if Shedeur steps in behind Flacco and actually starts balling out, everything changes in a blink. The whole quarterback room flips. The locker room dynamic flips. The media attention flips. Cleveland becomes ground zero for one of the biggest quarterback shakeups in the entire NFL. Think about it. Just a few weeks ago, people were talking like Sanders was nothing more than a developmental piece, someone you stash, maybe you give, him a redshirt type year. But fast forward through training camp and the preseason, and now the narrative is shifting. This kid has presence, he has poise, and he's already got something that Dillon Gabriel can't touch, a built-in fan base that follows him everywhere. You trade Sanders, and you're not just moving a player, you're alienating an entire movement. And that's exactly why analysts like Mike Florio are saying Gabriel, not Sanders, is the one who might get shipped out. Florio's right. Moving Sanders would be disastrous for the Browns. The backlash would be immediate. The Browns know it, the front office knows it, and Andrew Berry, he's not trying to start a civil war with his own fans. That's why the attention keeps swinging back to Gabriel. And yeah, he's talented, he's smart, but let's be real. In the NFL, size matters. Gabriel's height is becoming the elephant in the room, and no matter how much heart he shows, those physical limitations are hard to ignore. Meanwhile, Shedeur is rising. Rich Eisen said it best. If Gabriel gets traded, it's only a matter of time before Shedeur takes over as the starter. And honestly, I can see it. Because what happens if Flacco has to leave the field for just a series, just one drive? Suddenly, Shedeur steps in. And if he lights it up, if he delivers a spark in that moment, that's it. There's no putting him back in the box. Once that door opens, you're not closing it, and I'm not the only one who sees it. Stephen A. Smith has been pounding the table saying Shedeur has already jumped Gabriel on the depth chart. He pointed out the same things I've noticed. He's been composed, he's been focused, he's been a model rookie. No distractions, no drama, no excuses, just work. And that's exactly the kind of thing that gets a coach's attention. Even Kevin Stefanski, who at first tried to play it cool, downplay the hype, now he's shifted. You can hear it in his tone. He's buying in. He's committing to Shedeur's development. And when a head coach starts leaning in instead of pushing back, that tells you everything. Now guys like Mike Tannenbaum and Nick Wright are also putting the microscope on Gabriel, and the verdict keeps coming back to the same issue, size. Wright said it perfectly. It's one of his cardinal sins when evaluating quarterbacks because you just can't coach height. And while Drew Brees was an outlier, those are rare. Most quarterbacks in Gabriel's position, they hit a ceiling, and it shows up quick. Meanwhile, Sanders keeps stacking wins in practice. His training camp numbers speak for themselves. Accuracy, decision-making, leadership. Every metric you look at, he's right there at the top. And more importantly, he's been consistent. That's the word I keep coming back to. Consistent. Because the more consistent you are, the harder it is for a coaching staff to ignore you. So here we are. Gabriel looks like the odd man out. The Browns are listening to calls. And Sanders? He's right on the edge of seizing an opportunity that could change the entire trajectory of his NFL career. But here's the real kicker. If Shedeur gets into a game this season and he performs, if he gives Cleveland a glimpse of what he can be, we're not talking about QB2 anymore. We're talking about QB1. We're talking about the future of the Browns. The momentum is real. The fan base is fired up. And the coaching staff is slowly but surely lining up behind him. Mark my words, this is more than just a backup battle. This is the start of a quarterback revolution in Cleveland. But I want to throw it to you. Do you think Shedeur Sanders is ready to step up and eventually take over as the Browns' starting quarterback? Or do you think Dillon Gabriel still deserves his shot to lock down that QB2 spot? And what happens if Flacco goes down for even one game? Is Sanders the guy to carry the torch? Drop your thoughts below, because this battle is only just heating up.